Hello everyone, my name is Mark Hanna and I'm the publisher of the Rio Grande Guardian, and today we're having another exciting conversation with Nydia Tapia-Gonzales.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for being with us here today, Nydia. We're going to be talking about a lot of things outdoorsy, right? Is that a great way to summarize it?
Yes, yes.
Nydia is the director of South Texas Nature Tourism Cooperative, and you noticed the last word in that title is cooperative. She's also going to talk to us about what the cooperative is, how it works, and why it's so beneficial to the region. But before we talk about business when it comes to ecotourism and outdoor nature, Nydia, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Matamoros, Mexico, actually, just across the border from Brownsville. I grew up, I consider myself from both the sister cities of Brownsville and Matamoros because I went to school in Brownsville most of my life, Incarnate Word Academy, Villa Maria, and then, of course, TSC. And eventually I got married young. I started a family. And in 1991, I decided I wanted to be part of the tourism industry in one way or another. So I was at home raising children, but restless. And I said, what can I do that I don't leave my children all day? This is back in 1991.
Yes,
and,
I remember that.
Yeah. And I said, I want to do tours. And since I was living in Matamoros, I said, I'm going to take bus tours of women to San Antonio. And I had a very, very good first tour, memorable. I could have a whole show just on that.
Really?
Yes. Then eventually I came and met Joe Liston from Go With Joe, quite a company here with years and years, is like a staple of this community. And she hired me as a tour guide. So I started guiding tours for her, busloads of mostly what we call winter Texans, to places all over Texas. So I got to be there and understand what it was, what a destination is. How was I going to present that destination as a tour guide? In those days, no internet, Google, so I was just like, trying to see what I could research about San Antonio or about, all the cities that we were going to visit. So I was able to learn about, and I got in touch with people who were selling their destinations, or, people who were selling the San Antonio or those things. So anyways, from there, I worked with Go and Joe. Then after that, I partnered with my now husband, Lupe Gonzalez, and we bought a company called, in those days, South Padre Island Gray Line Tours of South Padre Island.
Just with that name alone, right? South Padre Island. Wait a minute, what did you say?
Yes. So anyway, South Padre Island Gray Line Tours. And so we started, selling tourists. It's a tourism industry, but in that time, I was in the capacity of buying destinations. And by that, I mean, what destination is gonna help me sell, make money?
Correct.
So I would meet with the destination, management from those cities and see, what do you have to tell me? Why should I bring visitors to your city instead of, to the other city and the other city and the other city? So I got that experience. Eventually, time and life took me to the other side of the spectrum, where I was the salesperson. I was selling destinations. Yeah, I was selling destinations. I started off with Harlingen as the CBB director of Harlingen. And then I started selling and looking at things from the different perspective. But in a way, I had a good idea of what people were looking for when selling a destination, because I had been there.
And what are those things? When people are looking for a destination, what are they looking for?
Something interesting, first of all, worth my money.
Worth my money. That keyword, right? Worth our money.
Am I going to pay to go over there? Why? And where am I going to stay? What quality of hotels are you taking me to? Or, what's the entertainment like? What am I going to do? What are we going to do while we're there?
Cuisine, what kind of food?
Yeah, exactly. How much it's going to cost and all of those things. So I was blessed like that. And then eventually, when I was with the Harlingen CBB, I was part of also South Texas Tourism and South Texas Nature, which is the one we're talking about, in the capacity of Harlingen Convention and Visitors Bureau Director. 5 years ago, I became the director for South Texas Nature, because before it was all the members. We didn't have a director. We would delegate each other. You do this, you do that, because it was a smaller organization. But now South Texas Nature has grown, and 5 years, and so they said we need a director now. And then I was out of the Harlingen CBB, and I said I needed a part-time job to pursue other things. So here I am.
So, we're talking about this South Texas area, a beautiful area where you were born and raised, right? Matamoros, Brownsville, it's kind of really one community when
Yes.
you really like to look
Yes,
at it.
it
There's
is.
just a river in between, right?
Yes.
Why is this area so unique when it comes to nature?
Okay.
Because that's one thing, we're talking about nature, and it's very easy to say there's all these entities and we're a destination and come see us, but what specifically about our environment is so unique? I mean, I can tell my perception, and a lot of people have their own, but from someone that knows specifically and does it professionally, what is so unique about our area?
Well, to tell you something, South Texas Nature, we're, like I mentioned, it's a co-op. Okay, I wanna start with that.
Okay.
And I would like to mention our members, and I wrote them down because I don't want to forget anybody.
Yes.
I don't want to leave anybody. Our members from last year, because we're right now in the renewal process, but they're the South Padre Island CBB, the Los Fresnos Chamber of Commerce, the West Laco Chamber of Commerce, the City of Alamo, the City of Hidalgo and the Pump House, the McAllen CBB, the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce, the Laredo CBB, the Mission Chamber of Commerce, the Port Aransas Chamber of Commerce, Corpus Christi Convention and Visitor Bureau CBB, Port Arthur Chamber of Commerce, Beaumont, Texas CBB, Willacy County, and recently committed is the Big Bend. We're very excited. And San Ignacio, Texas, their River Piers Foundation.
Wow.
And sponsors are the Alamo Inn in Alamo, the Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival, and the Inn at Chachalaca Bend in Los Fresnos.
Wow.
Yes, so those
Wow.
are my board, and I am so proud to be a part of this organization. And as you can see, now going to your question.
That's when you get that many entities or municipalities involved together, you know that you've done something good.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us about the good work that's being done.
Well, this organization started thanks to the leadership of Nancy Millar, who is now in McAllen, where she was in McAllen when they started, and Martha Noel in Westlaco, and
Yes.
then Keith Hackland in Alamo, and all the other valley. I don't know who was the names of who were in the Mission Chamber, Edinburgh, and the ladies from Edinburgh, Letty and Imelda. I mean, everybody. And at that time, Connie Ledbetter in South Padre Island. And so they decided that it was time, because 20 years ago, nature tourism was not as understood as it is today. Okay? So you have your budget. You can imagine they individually had their budgets, right? So they would say, we need X amount of money to promote the valley for nature observation, for people to come to our cities, right? And then we heard of festivals that we could go, and we'll talk about that later. So they said, well, wouldn't it be silly, as tourism professionals, we know that it is impossible to be individual. See, so isn't it silly that if McAllen sends somebody, Westlaco sends somebody, South Padre Island spends the money to go to the same show? It doesn't really make much sense, does it?
Yeah.
Especially because people from out of here don't understand these geographical boundaries that we impose on
little
ourselves.
cities, yes.
They're in the region.
Correct.
They're in one region.
Yeah.
And so that's when it started with that idea, because not all of us could afford to send one representative, and then we realized it didn't make any sense, right? So then that's how it all started. And what we do through South Texas Nature now is promote for people to come down and do some bird watching in the region.
So when you recruit people to come to do bird watching, one thing that I know specifically, because we did a live stream with Nancy Millar, she said to explain it best so that people understand that may not understand nature, there's about $1 billion that enters the Rio Grande Valley through tourism, nature tourism.
Yeah, and we actually paid a good amount of money back in 2012 and 11 to Texas A&M University to produce an economic impact of nature tourism. And in those days, 2011, the report was an economic impact of about $480 million to the two counties.
$480 million.
Just nature tourism, and this is
Wow.
by the Texas A&M University. And it also reports, and it's available on our website, southtexasnature.org. It also says that nature tourism, part-time and full-time jobs it created about 6,600 jobs.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I wrote some things here, but so with that in mind, we started thinking of a plan to go outside of the state of Texas to promote and especially in Northern Europe, because we study the markets. Where are the most birders internationally? Where are the most birders here? So we go to those locations and we participate in festivals.
Okay.
And then we represent the entire region.
So, kind of to reverse, the reason that most cities want outside tourism, they want tourism happening in their cities, is because it's revenues from outside of the area versus you cannibalizing your local area with revenues. And our area, in addition to being one of those retail, everyone thinks that this area, the anchor is retail,
Mm-hmm.
when in reality,
we have another tool.
Which is nature. And using nature, we're able to bring in business for all these municipalities,
Mm-hmm.
right? People stop and eat. People buy equipment.
Exactly.
People stay at hotels. They come in through the airport. So, and I'm kind of just summarizing these things because we have to realize that this investment in nature, in showcasing the unique species of birds, of insects, of animals,
Mm-hmm.
or just the 365-day amazing weather that we have,
right? Exactly. Well, just to follow up on that, in that same report, they say that in 2011, it was an impact of $2,560,000 in sales tax.
Wow.
And $7,512,000 in hotel taxes. So that year, that's significant.
Correct.
And to follow up on the previous question you had, how often can you think, since are we, the valley and the region, the Gulf Coast, but since this is relevant to the Rio Grande, how often are we number one in the world in something? In the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty
right.
big.
Does that sink in? Like, how often are we number one in the world? And if we're number one in the world in these things, we need to capitalize on that.
And it's not just making things up. Okay, when I was first hired, and they told me, well, we do Scandinavia. You're gonna go to Germany, Norway, England. Well, no, I don't do England. The Scandinavian. I said, I don't speak the language, and I don't know much about birds because my strength is marketing. Destination marketing. That's my experience. Okay. I've learned the birds as I go, and all
the
that.
Different chirps.
So then they were told, Nancy actually, and my other board member said, "Don't worry, people already know about the birds over there." And I'm like, "They do?" And they speak English, so you'll be good to go. So I went, and Nancy went with me the first time to train me, and sure enough. I was like, we extend the map, and I'm like, well, yes, we know. And this is a picture, yes, we know the green jay, we know this, we know the hawks, we know chachalacas, and I was like, wow. So they really wanted to know more of the logistics of how much is it gonna cost me, where can I get a guide, how much are a hotel, can I rent a car with my European license, those things. Wow. Can I call you? When I'm over there,
literally the logistics of how can I do this?
And will you be there if I go?
Wow.
And if I take a group, which they do, will you be there to help me? And that's basically what it's about. And it's fascinating. The industry of tourism I find fascinating, but my job is even more fascinating because of what involves. And let me just sort of try to put it in the simplest terms for your viewers. Think about you're in, or vice versa. You're gonna cross the Atlantic Ocean to go see birds. birders, for the most part, like to keep lists. I don't know if you watch that movie, the Big Year, where they go and travel all over to make sure they see a specific bird, right?
Yeah, it's like a trophy to them to be able to say, I saw this bird a certain amount feet away from me.
And they're willing to spare no expenses. Think about that.
Yes.
What kind of niche market you have there?
Ching ching.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So you're thinking, okay, so where am I gonna go? I'm gonna pay for this flight to go across. Where can I see the most birds? Well, in the United States, and I'm gonna round numbers, we have about 900 species, detected or established, registered, right?
Okay.
In Texas, they can come and see a little bit over 600. So we're already at a win-win there with Texas.
Yes.
Even though Florida and California always beat us with that campaign, that way people think they're more, they have more birds, but
we do.
Yes.
Everything's better in Texas.
Exactly. and I mentioned my members, all my members, don't forget, all the Gulf Coast and even now the Big Bend, which I'm thrilled. But so then out of those, the Valley, a person here in the Valley and comes for a week or so during the migration time, and they can see, if they're lucky and they're good, 400
of those. Wow.
So you tell me, is it worth your travel expense? Is it worth coming?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are certainly, and then magazines in Australia, which I've had all that data, there's so much data, but magazines in Australia and Europe put us as like the RGB Birding Festival, put it as one of the top 3. It's always in the top 3.
Wow.
Of this continent. Just think about that.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Can you tell me of any other festival in the Valley that can say that?
Yeah, no.
There are our sponsors, remember?
Yes.
and we do have to say, I do want to say something also. When Nancy Millar was in Harlingen as a CBB director, she, with an amazing group of volunteers here, started this festival.
Wow.
So Nancy is a visionary and a pioneer. And she's also one that started South Texas Nature Co-op with, again, never by herself. We have a great group of people, but she is a visionary. And, we need to credit that to my dear friend. And so then now, thanks to all this management of the Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival, it's lasted, it's over, I think it's their 22nd year this year, 21st, 22nd. Wow. It's under Sue Griffin this time. It was under other, there were other people that, many to mention, that I would not want to mention one and forget the others. But recently, they're about to produce their economic impact. But just to tell you briefly, over 600 people registered for their tours.
600. 600.
And,
wow.
and those are the ones that count, because sometimes people tell you, 10,000 people attended my festival and 5,000, and they just throw numbers like that. No. Sue likes to report where she's only the ones that actually register for a tour, not the ones that walk through the trade show. No, because then the numbers are much larger.
Yeah.
The ones that actually got on a tour. And it is important also to mention that it is called the Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival, even though it is hosted in Harlingen. But the city of Harlingen is a important financial supporter of this festival. And yet this festival takes people all the way to Zapata County, all the way to King Ranch, and even to Mexico this year again. They did the post tours to Mexico again. And so it is important to mention that also, that it is the city of Harlingen who has given great support to this effort that benefits all. So that proves my point too, where we cannot, in tourism, we cannot go in it alone. We cannot go at it alone. Not in an individual city. I mean, they do have their budgets and all that, but if we don't promote as a region, it's not the same impact.
Well, as you can see, there's a lot of passion here for nature, for tourism specifically, in South Texas. We want to thank everyone for tuning in. Feel free to share the feed. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment on the live stream, and we'll do our best to facilitate those questions. So right now, let's talk about specifically what areas in 2018 are going to be a hit, for destinations? Like, is there anything happening in 2018 that we can promote?
Oh, okay. Changing the subject to Preservation
Yes.
Texas. Okay. Well, to wrap this up, some people, especially my family, ask me, why are you involved in so many things? I'm on the board of Preservation Texas, which I love, and I am on the board of the Center for Latino Jewish Relations, and I also sit on the board of the Community Development Corporation of Brownsville. So I'm very busy.
Yes, we just had a comment from someone from Brownsville. Josh Mejia asked, can it be hosted elsewhere other than Harlingen?
The festival?
Yes.
Well, that would not be up to me. That would definitely not be up to me. There is an organization that is a nonprofit organization. It has a president. It has a chairman. It has that. All we do is take our resources and tell the world. We have the Laredo Birding Festival. We have the Whooping Crane Birding Festival in Port Aransas. We have a brand new festival in Corpus Christi. So you see, when you're promoting tourism, what are you going to go tell the world? Oh, come to the valley just for the fun of it. Just you figure out what to do when you're there. You don't, right? So you have to have a very good assessment of your resources. What do I have that is going to make people come all the way over here? And in this case, nature, we have a product. Yeah. We certainly have a product. And then I feel proud, I feel excited to go tell our story because it's worth telling. And it is, remember, we're in a global market now. The world has gotten small. So we're not competing with San Antonio in nature. We're competing with Israel, we're competing with Florida, we're competing with Africa, we're competing with that. So in answer to his questions, it would not be up to us, definitely not to us. But make sure you understand that all the valley cities, most of them benefit from this festival. So it really, where it's hosted, it doesn't make, because it goes everywhere. And we have supported data, well, they have the festival, that after the festival, people stay for more days to do their birding on their own, go back to the places they like, or explore places they didn't get to go during the festival, or they come before, because we also have an incredible butterfly festival in Mission. Yes. So now I believe there's 1 week apart, a weekend. So that was an amazing decision by the NABA Center and Mission folks, because now we can say, well, now it's even more worth your while. You're gonna travel and get to see 2 festivals, because we do have also over 300 species of butterflies. So we're quite the place, and we could just talk 2 hours about it.
And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that would enjoy watching us talk 2 hours about all the nature options. You're talking about us being, globalism, basically. Really, technology allows us to connect with the world, much easier travel.
Yes.
Much easier. So that being said, you mentioned 2 states earlier, California and Florida, that do an amazing, phenomenal job. They do, and I see the commercials all the time. Come to Florida, come to California. But in reality, when it comes to nature tourism, we are the destination where you can get a better bang for your buck, have a better time.
Yes.
And Texans are a lot funner, right?
Yes. And I do have to say that the state of Texas, the Governor's Office of Economic Development and Tourism, is very supportive of us. Very.
Can they be more supportive?
They always can. I would never tell you anything that I would say, oh, that's it, thank you very much. No, there's always possibility for more. But you know what? It is not up to them. I don't think, even though, one would say, oh, well, they don't do this or they don't do that. No. I think this way. We don't do enough.
Okay. We
are not pushing. We are not loud enough. We are not demanding, because our group does.
Yes.
And they were, Brad Smith and their whole staff is amazing. But can you imagine a state of this size, how busy they are?
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, when we go and post the map, we say the Netherlands fits 16 times inside Texas. So just to get you an idea how Texas versus the tourism offices in the Netherlands. So, so we need to be loud, we need to demand, and more importantly, we need to join forces. And South Texas Nature gives destinations the opportunity to join forces.
So for any municipalities here that would want to join this co-op and join in the fight to bring the masses to this South Texas area, how do they join? How do they find out more information?
Oh, they can call me.
Yeah.
Or they can go to our website, or my email is Nydia, Nydia, at rgvtourism.com.
Perfect.
And we have membership levels depending on the size of the community.
Right.
Don't get scared that you're not going to be able to afford it. It's very affordable, and it's certainly very well worth the investment.
And when it comes to the actual population here in South Texas, most of our residents don't know or appreciate, and I might be one of them, how great of an area we have to spend outdoors.
Yes, we're very indoorsy.
Yes. Well, I mean, if anyone feels the sun outside, they'll understand why most people are indoors.
Yeah,
right?
That's why we usually promote, focus on coming October through April, especially it's migration time, and to the beginning of May. Some people would not withstand from Texas heat in August, but us Texans do. We could do it.
Of course.
It's it depends. But we do need to go outside. We need to go outside and look at our birds. Now, because of social media, there's websites like Rio Grande Valley Birding on Facebook. Look it up. And there's many others. But ours is more, tourism related. But locally, Rio Grande Valley birding is amazing, and you start learning. It is fascinating when I see the posts there of people taking picture of one of our migrants, or the vermilion flycatcher, one of my favorites, and they posting, what is that? What is that beautiful? So the seasoned birders who manage that website or that page immediately reply, and people start getting excited. And
it's about, let me go find another bird.
Exactly. And then you become addicted.
Yeah.
You become addicted.
It's I'm sure for young people, it's like catching Pokemon or something like that.
Yes. Oh yes. It's quite a thrill. It is quite a thrill.
So, when it comes to traveling overseas, do these European birders, do they know Rio Grande Valley?
Well, they know South Texas.
Texas.
Yes, they probably don't know McAllen, Brownsville by name, but they certainly know the region. And you asked earlier why. Because we're in a migration pattern. And then we have shorebirds, for example.
Break that down for me. What do you mean by migration patterns?
Where, the roads, I guess, the birds used to go south and back up north.
Okay.
So we're pretty well located when it comes to that. And then we have shorebirds. Some birders like just shorebirds, meaning birds you see along the water, the beach. So I said our members from the Gulf Coast. Yeah. But then we also have, in Zapata County, we have like roadrunners, desert kind of birds. We have like 8 different ecosystems. Then in the middle of Westlaco, we have more subtropical. So, it is like, what do you want? We have it.
Yeah.
So we're not just...
How long do you have? Because we can show it all to you.
Exactly. And we know Europeans are going to, fly across and want to spend a good couple of weeks. Whoa, boy, we have it. We certainly have it.
And do you have an average of like more or less how much each birder spends?
Well, according to this research that we did, the survey that we did, it was about $400 and some per stay, but it depends, because they move. They even in the valley, they might stay at the island one time, and then in Alamo, where there's an Alamo bed and breakfast specializes in birders, and thanks to their services, we are able to capture how many groups come in from abroad. Wow. Because they usually stay there because they cater to that. And there's other hotels are slowly starting to pick up on identifying a birder and knowing that they're going to go out early. How do we cater to that, guest?
Yes.
So, it's what I was mentioning earlier, tourism is now destination management. And just tell me, you think about managing a bank, a store, anything, but how do you manage a destination?
You keep it very green.
Yes. So anyways, that's
Well,
we were talking about, yeah. Okay,
right now, our region, specifically the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council, they're focusing on building an app for tourism.
Yes.
Do you think that nature tourism can fit into that, or how do you see?
Definitely. There's a lot of components that can come into the picture, and I know Mr. Garza over there, and I would love to work with him. I mean, not myself, the organization that I represent. Get together and have this conversation, because it is amazing that he's doing this, and that they're doing this, and it's something that we would love to be a partner in and somehow help.
Our population is growing. People are starting to find out that the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas exists. So what specifically can we do to make sure that people around the world know that we exist? Is there anything like, do you have any secrets like, hey, we need to do specifically this? So I'm sure you have a lot of experience in what works and what doesn't. Is there something new that we haven't tried that maybe we should?
Oh my goodness.
You're like, I have a list right here. Exhibit A through C.
Yes. Well, you've all known, and I don't like to bring negative things, but the voice that has been lately in the news and the media is about our wall, our border wall. It's a loud voice. It's a very loud voice.
Yeah.
And
you gotta learn to tune it out.
Yeah. How? and how much is that gonna cost?
Correct.
Now, the important thing for tourism, for us, is to not come across like we're anti the border being protected or in any way. We want our borders protected. We want our borders and our people to feel safe. Even though we feel safe, but perception, might deter some others from coming. But say yes, we want to be protected, but we believe there's other ways of protecting. A wall is not fit for all. The border is extremely large. A certain type of wall does not apply to the desert of Arizona, to the Santa Ana Wildlife Refuge. So I just recently encountered a couple of birders, and they told me we were birding and the border along the river, and the border patrol came by and asked, what you doing, and they said, how did you know we're here? And says, well, we have sensors. We have sensors. So you see, with technology, in certain areas, I think there could be a possibility. When you drive up to Zapata County, you see those little like blimps. They're, I mean, like I said, we are definitely not against a border being protected or any way, but we believe there's things. Now, how do we deter that voice? Well, that's something us tourism professionals have talked extensively about.
That's the big dilemma,
yes.
Right?
And we can use social media if our residents start posting positive, because we have a lot of positives. This is not fake things.
Yeah.
This is not this. Every time you go to somewhere, just explain why it's so wonderful. Explain how good you felt, at this park and this other park. Explain, bombard those networks and social media. I mean, they're free. that's we can at least try that.
Your voice.
Yes.
And the border wall funding has a lot of it has already been approved, and a lot of the plans have already been established. We have some local, the Santa Ana Wildlife Refuge that would become a victim of the proposed border wall.
Yes.
So let's talk about the facts. If the border wall is built, how much damage, not if, but how much damage is that going to do to nature tourism?
We're scared. It's because of when something happens in one little area, they generalize.
Yeah.
If they're destroying Santa Ana, that means that probably all the others are destroyed. We had a lot of people come this past year because they wanted to see Santa Ana before it gets destroyed. A good number of people got here. We need to just make sure we keep promoting, like with us, telling about all the other parks that are amazing, which they are, and the region itself. Another thing we do with South Texas Nature, we host riders. We go to Europe and we see who has a following, what are the best magazines that are talking about birding, travel and birding. And then what we do is we pay for them to come down here and we bring them and we show them around.
You show them the reality.
Yes. And because we believe that an advertisement is not going to do that. Yeah. It is not going to do that. We need for them who have a following and a prestige, and so their magazines or newspapers, we want them to come down.
Yeah.
And write so people can believe. And in the past 15 years, we've generated millions of dollars of content in different languages and all that. So that is one way to continue the fight, putting out the word, the word. Now, one of the writers from our birder blogger writers from he was from the Netherlands actually. I was pushing them to go to this park and then this park and this park, and he says, "Why are you so into birding at the parks? There's birding everywhere." So they kept stopping at fields, and they would just stop the car and just get out their gear and bird. So they were like, your entire region.
You can see them on, if you're traveling to San Antonio or back, you can see people pulled over, looking,
yes.
just looking up.
Exactly, and he told me, "Why are you so set on taking me to a park? Look at," and in that particular time, they had about 300 killed deer, and just in a field. And they were counting them and scoping it and reporting it.
Wow.
It was impressive.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, it is just, I guess we just need to be loud, join forces, talk to the state.
Yes.
Demand more from the state, help them. Demand is not a pretty word.
Respectfully demand.
Give them ideas,
Yeah.
give them storylines, because they do a great job, and so they can keep supporting us.
I think that, one of the best ways to combat, the security issue is by saying, number one, if you talk to people like the Border Patrol, they'll say that there's more effective ways of protecting the border. So we want to trust the experts, right? And the next thing is that it's going to hurt business. And when you can relate something that the United States government or an entity is going to do, and it's going to hurt business, that's how you get people's attention. Wait a minute, we're going to lose money?
Yes.
No, we do not do that.
Well, sometimes which is more important, protecting the borders with a wall or protecting the businesses of the Rio Grande Valley and the entire border?
Yeah. I think you can do both, right?
Yeah.
I
think so too.
You can definitely do both.
Yeah, I think so too. But let me tell you, everything it's related to tourism. Everything you do. And I'm sure, in England, what is one of their main tourism assets? What do you think is their main tourism?
I'm not even going to take a guess on that because I know we're being recorded.
Well, one of their main tourism is the royal family. The royals.
That's true.
Is the Cinderella story.
You're right.
Where a common girl can become a princess.
Yeah, recently just happened actually.
Exactly. and they make sure it's all over the media. They make sure the Christmas card of the families out there. They make sure the baby pictures. They make sure the proposal and everything. And it's a resource. Right now, our leadership is not coming across as very welcoming. As it's not a fairy tale place.
Yeah.
And that, for the first time this year, we were reported during the British Birding Festival, which we go and represent our membership there, our region. For the first time, we saw people approach our booth and say, "We're not interested in going to your country. We don't like your leadership. We don't appreciate it. We don't feel welcome." So you see, the impact is not local, it's not state, it is everything is an impact.
Yeah.
Everything is an impact, and when it comes to tourism, and if you don't manage it well,
you can lose it. Yeah.
If you're the country of the fairy tale, of the country, we are the country of the dream, the American dream. We are the country of everything is possible, of innovation, technology, of fashion, and then if we start becoming something else, it will hurt our visitor numbers.
I believe in the best is yet to come, and I believe in the power of the people.
Yes.
Right. And with great organizations such as yours and great directors, such as yourself, I know that we can overcome whatever negativity is out there. So anyone that is looking to, a municipality that's looking to join forces can contact you.
Yes.
And the website, we're going to go ahead and share it on the comment feed as well. Anything else that you would like to share with the viewers? We talked, let's see, a little bit about the income that is reflected when it comes to nature tourism.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about the different initiatives, how the co-op was started, and its members, and let's see, the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council. We talked about the application. I believe we have a side note. Let's see what that says.
The media trips.
Oh, yes. So, promotion by international writers' media trips.
The German? Yeah. Well, this is how to try to make it as brief as possible. The way we promote the region. Okay, now you're a member.
Yes.
You know, in South Texas Nature. Now what? Right?
Yeah. What do we get?
Exactly. So first of all, your hotels and get listed. They get listed on our website, so people know. We prepare itineraries. We talk to people who want to come and bring groups, prepare itineraries, and we don't focus on one. We ask them, for example, for Europeans, we say fly into Houston, and then tour our members over there, Beaumont, Port Arthur, and all that. Come down the coast. If there's something Germans like, is to be able to drive in open country.
Yes.
So that's another thing that we have. And then, so we promote that. So once we establish...
You can show that.
Yes, this is, I'll open, this is a Vogel, one of the most prestigious magazines in Germany. This is from last year's story. So we identify people who have following, writers. Let's see, this is a story. Here's our map right here.
Texas.
Yep. So he came down, Chris, his name was, and here's his, I'm sure he put his name there somewhere, Christopher Smith, right here.
Okay.
And we toured him, wined him, and dined him. And so then he wrote about most of our members.
Where'd you take him to dinner? Where?
Well, many places. Depends on what city. The different cities. Of course, he doesn't write about that. He writes on the birds. But he, he wrote. They usually do this, and we do this. We also had a Chinese group with the help of the state tourism office. We came down, and we brought a Chinese delegation of media, and they went on everywhere that we can take them. So like I said, it's been millions of dollars that throughout the years we've been generating through these kind of things.
So you bring down media from different parts of the world, and you basically show them, hey, let me show you what people can come and experience.
Exactly.
And then they amplify the message through their own media outlets, whether it's social media
or their magazines. And we also bring in tour company owners.
Okay.
The ones that sell birding tours.
Yes.
On our website, you can go see the list of all the companies that sell the region.
Perfect.
So then I try to stay in touch with them and say, do you need anything? Do you have the hotels, the guides, everything? So, but one of the most satisfying things I've discovered is that when we bring these riders or tour operators or birders, they're all birders, they become like our ambassadors. Because they're so grateful for what we did. I mean, they didn't spend a dime.
Yeah.
With the help of the State Economic and Tourism Office. They did not spend a dime. They were shown the most amazing place. So a good number of them come back with groups if they're tour operators, and sometimes they come back with friends, but they become our ambassadors. So everywhere they go to other birding shows or in other parts of Europe, they say, oh, and by the way, I was at South Texas. I was in South Texas, and let me tell you. So without knowing, it's been the best investment that we've had throughout the years.
Investing in people, right?
Yes, and the word of mouth, which is still very valuable. We needed to talk about the February event.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about that. See, time flies when you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I was telling you earlier, people ask me, why are you so involved in so many things? And being in Preservation, Texas, it's amazing. It started because I'm a preservationist. This home that you're here is a John York. And it's a mid-century modern. That's a whole different show that we can do. So I might
architecture.
Yes, architecture preservation or historic preservation. I have a website, rgvmod.com, which is for the preservation of the mid-century modernism of the valley. Well, now let me tell you, it all ties together. I don't know if you've ever heard of Palm Springs, California. They have profited from mid-century modernism in a way that, so architecture is also a very fundamental part of tourism.
Yeah.
Why do you go to San Antonio? Do you visit the missions? We never say, I'm going to go to San Antonio to see the architecture. We don't seem to word it like that, but it's there.
It's the culture. It's
Can
the
you
environment.
imagine San Antonio without any of the historic buildings?
Yeah.
And was it worth the effort of preserving anything? It's an incredible part of tourism, preservation. And just to give you an example, preservation, they have a modernism week in Palm Springs, California. And they, in the last report I heard from, I think it was 2014 or 15, just 1 week, I think I wrote it down so I don't remember, it generated, let me see, they had about 45,000 visitors, and they generated 17 million in expenses in 1 week.
Wow.
Because they've managed to promote, and we have that too, but
Yes.
that's sleeping right now. But we that's another conversation. But because of that, I ended up in Preservation, Texas, and I love it. So for the very first time, they always have their annual summit. Their annual summit is like their annual convention in Austin. And last year we moved it to Waco, but we started pressuring them nicely,
respectfully.
Yes. Why don't you go to Brownsville? Why don't we take the summit to Brownsville in the Rio Grande Valley? They're not just going to stay in Brownsville. We're going to, again, like the birding festival. And there was some debate. The board is like, how do I get there? It's too far. It's probably going to be too expensive. And then we started showing them we have buildings from the 19th century. We have buildings from the 20th century. We have buildings, amazing architecture, worth what we were talking earlier, your trip.
Yes.
And your expense. So thanks to our efforts, the board approved it, and in February 25th to the 28th, everybody's invited to be a part of the Preservation Texas Summit in 2018.
Preservation Texas Summit. And say the dates again,
February 25th through the 28th.
Okay.
Yes, and there will be tours to Hidalgo, because Hidalgo, one of our members, have. But one of the most important things I want to mention to South Texas Nature, you see that there, South Texas Nature, we are organizing a panel discussion called Birds and Buildings. Just to give you an example, Hidalgo Pump House,
yes.
What a beautiful historic building, and then the World Birding Center right there,
yes.
And the birding. So how is that an asset for tourism? That's going to be the discussion. How important is that building, or could you have that impact without that building? We invited Quinta Mazatlan. They accepted. Is that building important for bird watching? Would it be the same? The experience be the same if the building wasn't there?
So you're pushing and promoting, guys. There's another asset that we have untapped.
Yes.
That has been helping us, but we haven't acknowledged
exactly. And there's a lot. But the event we're gonna have that panel discussion on the Tuesday, and it is gonna talk about the importance of preserving buildings and birding and nature. Together. We already have the confirmation of Colleen from Quinta Mazatlan, from San Ignacio, the River Pierce Foundation, and Hidalgo, the city of Hidalgo, Alamo, Texas. The Alamo Bed and Breakfast, the Alamo Inn, is highly recognized across the world as the birding place to stay in the valley, and it's an old building. It's an old building with a lot of history.
But it's known.
And exactly. So, does it matter that building is preserved? Is it going to make your stay better, or so that's going to be the discussion.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me of a photographer friend that I have, and I'm sure that you know him as well, Pino Shaw,
Mm-hmm.
who is an amazing photographer
yes.
of architecture, and
yes.
it was through his work that I started to realize, wow, in South Texas we have so much history.
Yes, I started working with Pino at the beginning, but then my job requirements and my time, I could not continue.
Yeah.
But we worked together with a list, and his eyes opened, so did ours and yours. And thanks to a good friend, it all happened because of our good friend Stephen Fox, who's a Rice University professor of architecture history. And he's the one that provided us all the information and the lists to Pino, so Pino could go out and find
Really?
those buildings. Yes. How would you know which building to photograph? So
that looks kind of old.
I know. No. Stephen Fox took the time to provide us like the whole list of these buildings, the dates, the
from
years.
Rice University.
Yes, he's gonna be touring at Preservation Texas Summit.
Wow.
If you want to take part of an amazing trip, it's on Sunday the 25th. It's gonna go to Hidalgo, Roma, Rio Grande City, February the 25th, the first day of the summit. The first day of the summit, Stephen Fox is going to be guiding a tour to those places, and I tell you, you don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a great opportunity for other local, educational institutions to start looking around and start doing research and saying, hey, what else are we missing?
Exactly. The Valley has a lot to offer. Like you mentioned at the beginning, retail. Yes, retail is important, but sometimes it's concerning. Because you hear of all the stores that are closing because we're getting lazier and we want to shop from the house. We don't want to go and take the time to go to the store. It's the truth. We're evolving in something different. And there's been, we know every time that stores closing because now they're only online. Yeah. So that's going to change.
You can't close the outdoors though, right?
No. Well, but we do need to protect it.
Yes.
Make sure that it's an asset. And I hope your viewers understand how important of an asset. So it's worthy of preservation, and so are your buildings. Are the buildings and those that you saw in Pino's book, which is very nice. They're worth preserving, and then they'll if managed properly, like through an organization like ours, we can capitalize on that, just like Palm Springs does and San Antonio. And many other, we have all that it takes. I'm convinced, for example, that Harlingen can be the capital, the mid-century modern architectural capital of Texas.
Wow.
Definitely.
That's going to be the caption to our next live stream.
But thank you so much. This has been great.
It's always great to have these conversations. These conversations are always about educating the community, learning something new, and at the end of the day, sharing ideas and messages with the community. So thank you so much.
I do want to point out something, but
okay.
I know you're interviewing or we're having a conversation with me, but none of these projects could be possible without committees. Like without my board, I wouldn't be here. Without the community showing interest, I wouldn't be here. And in Preservation Texas for the summit, I am so proud that we have so many people in Brownsville supporting this, from their preservation organization, from their downtown, from the TSC architecture department. And I hate that they're not here, but maybe we can do a live about the summit with them.
Yes.
But one thing I found out through my career is that the people of the Valley, you guys out there, are fantastic. When you want to get things done, you do it. And we cannot do things by ourselves, but it is important to recognize that we're a region.
Correct.
And visitors don't know that they're in FAR or in McAllen. Incidentally, I forgot, FAR Economic Development is our member in this year, new member, and we're very thrilled and grateful. I'm not sure, I don't think I wrote it because they're new. I took the list from the previous year, but we welcome the FAR Economic Development Corporation to our group. And
we challenge other municipalities to step up and become part of this, right? Because, when you join the team to bring people here, everyone wins.
Exactly. Everyone wins. And that is something we tourism professionals know, that people that fly into, well, they said the McAllen or Harlingen with the airports, right? Mm-hmm. They're not going to say, oh no, I just came to Harlingen, I am not moving, or I just went to McAllen, I hear there's an outlet mall, but I'm not going, because they are going to visit the region and the Gulf Coast too. And so thank you for that.
No, it's always good that the community knows about all of these options and opportunities. I know that when it comes to nature tourism, we're going to continue to grow, continue to thrive. The question is by how much, how big, right?
Exactly. Well, we always have to think big.
Yeah, we have to, and in Texas especially.
Yes. Yes, I hadn't thought about that, but it's true.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your time, and until next time, talk to you soon.